love of Halo. Two great things.
Ignore them. I'll throw things out.
As you can see, all of this lovely armor, and then I'm actually Dr. Halsey from Halo. How many people here love Halo? Okay, so some of you can actually recognize our like, who knows what this is? But PS3, Xbox One, but there's movies, groups, whatnot. But I was just curious, does anyone know what type of armor this might be if they know Halo?
ODST.
No guesses. ODST.
Yes. Halo Helljumper, ODST, orbital drop shock troop.
Feet first into hell.
Yes.
This and those gentlemen over there and him. Who do you think they are?
Spartans.
Yes. Great. Armor making is a fun, interesting thing, but it gets, you have to start with the basics. Your undersuit. What's underneath that armor? How in the world do you make it so that you're not showing skin? That's common. What are other things that you guys would see as undersuits? Spandex, morph suits. Some of us wear black shirts, black pants, utilities. Some of us actually go so far as to making our undersuits from scratch, from latex and four-way stretch materials with sewing. So in this, you can use basically any skill in construction in making clothes from cloth to other stuff. Let's get back on track. We've got pepperas, something that you will hear often in costuming. Does anyone know what pepper is?
Software
It's software. And what does it do? Do you know?
takes your game files and folds them.
Yep. And then you put it together. It makes it wearable origami. This is one of those interesting things that you can take car products and make armor. Floor foam mats. Who's heard of EVA foam? Anyone know what EVA foam is?
Like a black
That's one of them, yes. Definitely.
Black, they come black, gray, orange, red, blue.
Yep.
Yes.
That's one of them. But Pepakura flattens everything out, makes it so that you can take your 3D model that somebody's gone and made, folds it out nice and flat into all these little pieces that you then print out, and you want to print it out on cardstock. Don't print it out on paper, don't print it out on just regular printer paper and stuff. It's not going to work. You want to use cardstock because it's going to be stiffer and it's going to hold its form until you can move on to the next steps in your construction.
If you use regular paper, this helmet is just resin currently. If you just resin regular paper, it's just going to melt. It's going to be a puddle. Cardstock will still warp if you resin it, but it will hold its shape. That is why she's saying use cardstock. Because 110-pound cardstock is a lot more than regular printer paper.
You actually want to pass that around, Eric?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Not going to hurt anything.
Now another thing that next step in your armor making after you've actually made your armor and you're trying to put it on, how do you think you actually stick it onto that armor and so that it doesn't fall off?
straps and buttons.
Straps.
Speak up.
Velcro, huh?
I'm just enticing the crowd to speak up.
Yes, yes. Now, how would you attach the straps together? Rivets. What else would you use? You can use buckles. And I'm going to use my husband. Yes? Velcro. to undress them. Hey! No! So we got buckles here. We've got Velcro, and then you have just regular web strapping to help so that an area can flex for your areas. You can also use magnets. Who here has magnets on their armor?
Kind of.
You kind of do.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing about magnets is you want to take the time and use rare earth magnets. The reason why is their hold is significantly more powerful than just like the generic refrigerator magnets. They're kind of big.
Speaking of that, I think I have like 1 pound pull magnets on the side that I'm trying to use, but I can't quite use it right. But that's a kind of, they're only like this big. They're very small and they can hold everything together.
Yes. Another thing with magnets is if you are trying to have it so that your magnets are going side to side, great. As soon as you put torsion on that magnet, you're going to have issues. Because once you twist it, they're going to pop apart. Have you ever tried that with magnets at home? You're playing with them. One side they stick really well, and then as soon as you turn it, it falls apart. Same thing. Yep. So magnets are great in pieces that aren't going to move much, such as like his pistol on the side of his hip. That's in an area that's not going to be bumped around a whole lot and stressed. Other areas, you're going to lose your arm. Then that might get embarrassing. Don't like that. Now, proportions. Next step that makes things great is, would you say that helmet fits me?
No.
But does it look like it's a good helmet when you're just looking at it overall, other than the size? Okay. Proportion can make or break a costume. If you have a costume that is store-bought, high quality, $1,000 costume, $2,000 costume, but you look like you're a little kid playing in your mommy's clothes, are you going to wow it? Are you going to have people, are you going to even be comfortable? No. Whereas if you make sure that it is proportioned, and do not be afraid of messing up. That helmet there was test number 3? 3 of the same helmet. The first helmet we made was too small, and that's actually downstairs in the Gearbox Union's, upstairs, sorry. They were downstairs last year. Their Conquest. It's actually a used size helmet now because we made it too small. So we upped the sizing and the scaling, and it got
Turn into that.
And then the third one was perfect. Mistakes are going to happen. Costuming, you deal with mistakes. Nothing else you can do with them. Yes? It's one of the, Pepakura is very, very difficult to measure in. Because when you scale in Pepakura, it scales, changes the shape in all 3 directions. So the length, the hip, height, and the width. Now there's a new program that is coming out. It's not out yet. It's called Armor Smith. One of its design features is that you can stretch an item in just one direction. So armor between my husband and myself, I have to make everything shorter than he does. Because, well, I'm not 6'3". I'm 5'5". Makes a big difference. You guys have anything on sizing that you want to add in?
I did exactly the same thing that you did, except with Pepakura, and I got all the way through all of the steps. And I started Bondo work, and I sent it to, this is Benton. I sent it to Benton, and he's like, Zach, that looks too big. And I had to basically scrap it and start again. So sizing is, it's a struggle you're going to deal with in this sort of community.
Trust me, you're going to have people who have been doing this for years. And they're still going to have issues occasionally with getting something sized properly. Don't be afraid of goofing up.
The best case scenario you want to do is you want to actually like measure your head. If you're going for a helmet, measure your head, the height, the width. Usually the depth doesn't really matter because helmets are long anyway. But you always want to make sure that you have a little bit of wiggle room. So add maybe a ½ inch if you're working with Pepakura. If you're making a foam helmet, add an extra
Quarter inch.
even more than that because the foam's going to be thick. So you want to actually have a lot of space.
You had a question?
If I had, say, a 4-wheeler or a motorcycle helmet, could I not use the dimensions from that as properly?
Possibly. It all depends on what helmet you're making and what protrusions and shapes that the helmet that you're making compared to the helmet that you have. It can actually make a big difference.
There's a lot of ways to cheat.
Yes.
If you have a motorcycle helmet to play with, if you monkey around long enough, you can figure out how to make it work. A lot of armoring is figuring out what you can make work. You know, it's a creative process. It's a challenge. You know, some of these props, they're plumbing fixtures to make some of the things to get them working. The big gun that's on our table, there's plumbing fixtures in that to make the grips. Exactly. That is what it is. Armoring is what works and what you can do cheaply.
And
Yes.
what works for one person might not work for another. Me and my husband's build styles are absolutely completely different. Yep, that's all fitting, making proportions, making sure things fit you. And if you see, like I said about the,
Short like me, so like buying anything,
yeah,
anything down, whatever. I have to have it go a lot of it. Even my mom, I buy it.
definitely understand.
She showed it.
Now, into the materials, like we were saying about the cardstock, that's one of the many materials that you can use in making armor. You can print most of this out on your home computers. Sometimes you might want to take it to get a laser print. It all works. You can also use cardstock, the Pepakura cardstock templates for making it like this and convert it to make it into foam. There are ways to do that. That way you can just take this as a template, lay it on your foam, draw it out, cut it out. You'll see some pictures on that here in just a few moments. There we go, our EVA foam. As you can see, these are the actual same shapes as what's used in the Pepakura. It's just drawn onto foam. You cut it. Now, there's a couple of ways of cutting it. And one of the best things you need to do, if you are cutting it with an X-Acto knife or any type of knife, sharper is better. It's a safety issue and it makes your workmanship that much better. How far do you think you have to, how often do you think you would have to sharpen your knives when you're working on something like this?
Daily.
Every 12 inches. Every 12 inches, you need to sharpen that knife blade. And it will take your seams from looking like somebody took a piece of paper and just ripped it and has it shredded to a super smooth, super sleek cut. That's how much a difference between a sharp knife and a dull knife. And EVA is one of the things that will dull knives so quickly.
Like utility knives?
Utility knives, scalpel blades. A lot of people actually recommend getting scalpel blades number 11 and getting a handle of number 3 handle. You can get them online, super cheap, super easy to get hold of, and you get a lot intact. Now, I personally prefer using a hot knife. Great product, makes a nice clean seam, but you have to clean the blade because when you're cutting through the foam, you're actually burning it. And you're actually leaving residue and melt on the knife. That's what you're going to find in a lot of this stuff. You need to be careful of safety. A lot of this stuff, you're dealing with chemicals. You're dealing with sharp objects. You're dealing with fumes. Ventilator masks, the big old canister face masks are your friend. Especially if you have any type of health issue. Yeah. You figure in armory, when we get to the cardstock, you actually use carb resin, fiberglass resin. Has anyone ever used fiberglass resin on any other projects on their car, anything like that? How dangerous is it without proper ventilation?
It's nasty.
And then once you take that with this, you start adding Bondo and another product called Rondo, which is Bondo and Rondo 50-50 mixture. You can't buy it, you make it yourself. And it makes this slurry. And you slather that on, sand it down, slather it on, sand it down, until you get a nice smooth surface. And this helmet was that at one point. It's not light. I'm gonna hand your helmet around. It's not light. And it's good, strong. It's not going to break easily. You drop it on the floor, it's going to go, ha ha, yeah, you dropped me.
As long as you don't throw it across the room.
Yeah, you drop it on your foot. Foam, you guys hold the other helmet. It's lighter. It's not going to hurt your foot. Not going to hurt the floor. But depending on how you surface it in the long run, it can do other things. Do you guys have anything you want to add? Are you guys happy with everything?
They're crowd enforcement.
Another product that you guys can use is thermoplastics. How many people have heard of Warbla? Several of you. Okay, what about Centra? See one with Centra and Terraflex. I got a couple here for Terraflex. Those are all thermoplastics. Thermoplastics are your plastics that you can heat up with a hot gun glue or a hot gun with a vacuum form heat table. All of these will heat it up and it starts to get soft, and then you can form it into your shape by molding it onto something else. With Warbla, it sticks to itself, so you can actually take it in this picture here. You can see where she took like regular foam and carved out her piece, and then she took the Warbla and wrapped it around it to make it a nice hard surface, and then she formed her little horns, and then started putting everything together here, get your finished product, and then you have to seal coat it. Now, depending on which product that you're using, Warbla is actually made out of thermoplastic and flour. It's basically what Warbla is, or wood chips. So it actually sort of has a grainy texture on your surface. And it doesn't hold paint very well. So you have to cover it in Gusso and PVA glue, white glue, to make a seal on it so that anything else will stick to it. Centra is actually PVA plastic that's in sheets. It's the name of what Centra is. I've heard very good comments about Centra, that it's a little bit easier to work with than Warbla. I don't have any actual experience with it myself. I don't have any of my guys that actually have used Warbla here or Centra. Terraflex is something that you can get from Tandy Leather Supplies. And it's another form of these thermoplastics, and I've heard decent things about it. Another thermoplastic that you would hear about is the vacuum formed. Who's heard about vacuum forming armor and stuff? Okay, how do you think you go about making vacuum formed? Do you know what the process is to put it together to do a vacuum form?
You heat a plastic and it's like